We're very excited that all of you are here this evening. Um, and again, welcome to the Navigating Your Science Career Journey webinar series. So this is part 3 of our presentation. My name is Alyssa Laskowski, and I will be your host to walk you through today's presentation. And I work on SNHU's Career Services team, and I've partnered with the STEM faculty and staff here for this brief webinar session. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, before we jump into anything, I just want to talk about access and accommodations really quickly. So your experience here at SNHU is very, very important to us. It is our policy and practice to create an inclusive and accessible learning environment. If there are aspects of this presentation's design or delivery that presents barriers to accessibility, please notify the appropriate accessibility centers that are listed here on the screen. And again, as additional reminder, this webinar is being recorded. So if you are not comfortable being on camera throughout the recording, you are welcome to turn your camera off. And again, we do ask that all attendees are in the audience do remain on mute, again, until the Q&A portion. And I'd like to take a moment to allow my co-presenters a chance to say hello. And again, in the interim, please feel free for all the attendees to say hello in the chat box. If you could just type in your full name, again, so we can mark you as attended here. You can also include your current degree program and where you're calling in from. That would be fabulous. So Tyra, I will go ahead and have you go first.
Sure. Welcome, everyone. My name is Tyra Davey. I'm the Associate Dean of our 2 science programs for Environmental Science and Geosciences. Excited to be here. I've been collaborating with Alyssa and Dr. Susan McKenzie over the last several months to bring you this webinar series. So excited to have you all here tonight.
And I think that's my cue.
Go for it,
Hi.
Sue.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're all here tonight. I'm Dr. Susan McKenzie. I am Senior Associate Dean in STEM, and my programs are math, science, and data analytics. But my background is science. So just let you know, that's my favorite field, right? So I welcome you all tonight. I feel really privileged to have come this far with this 3rd webinar and have so many of you join. There's great information to be shared, and we look forward to you really engaging in the content. Back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Tyra. All righty. So again, just wanted to, before jumping in again, here's just a really brief outlined agenda for our presentation this evening. So of course, first we'll start by introducing our 2 guest speakers, and we'll have an open discussion including some resume best practices, SNHU career advising resources, and of course, exploring career paths and career opportunities at the Environmental Protection Agency. So as again, quick reminder, attendees are welcome to add any questions via the chat box here, just kind of as we're going along. But again, I do promise we will have some time at the end for any Q&A. If you want to ask any questions aloud, we will definitely have the time to do that. But in the interim, you're more than welcome to insert any questions you may have directly into the chat. And then we'll just share some key takeaways and we'll wrap things up. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our 2 guest speakers. So tonight we have Latasha Rhodes Thomas, who is the Outreach Program Coordinator for the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency in Cincinnati Shared Service Center. She is an experienced workforce development specialist with more than 20 years of experience across multiple government agencies. And next we have Alex Chapa, who is an SNHU career advisor. He specializes in supporting students in the STEM degree programs to clarify and achieve their career goals. He also specializes in supporting veterans, military spouses, active duty military, transitioning military service members, and military retirees to help map out a career plan. So welcome. We're so excited to have both of you here. So again, any students who have questions, feel free to blow that chat box up. But Alex, why don't we first start with you so you can share some of your insights and resources for the students. And then after that, we'll turn it over to Latasha.
Sure thing. Hello, everyone. So glad y'all are here today. I'm a career advisor here. She mentioned that I support the military folks and students, military affiliated students, and especially who are in STEM. I decided to dress like a career coach today, so I got that hat on. And so anyway, thank you for taking the time to be here. Please make sure after this, if you have any other questions, follow up with the career team. We're available Monday through Friday, and we're open all year round. We'll put the contact info in the chat box, but it's COCE career at snhu.edu. The number is 1-888-672-1458. Call or email anytime, someone will answer, and we're all a whole team here to help you out. So in general, we're going to talk today about science careers and the EPA, but generally speaking, like Alyssa was saying, we provide coaching guidance, information, and resources. We help you map out your career plan, maybe clarify your career goals, and what are the steps to success to reach those goals. So we do a lot of reverse planning. Most of all, I think what's great is that we provide an individualized approach based on your interest, your timeline, your location, your job market, and your strengths and abilities. So that's one thing I wanted to emphasize. So that's the intro to the career team in general. Now, me, why am I talking to you? So we're all a whole team of career advisors, and any of us can help you. We're all experts in the field, but some of us have some sort of specialties. I'm part of the STEM career team, like she mentioned. We have other ones. And I volunteered to help out today because environmental science is a expanding field, and it's a one full of passion. People want to save the world. They want to protect the environment, help the people, help the citizens. So it's an important one to follow, an important career path to follow. So I wanted to help out today. I'd like to connect with y'all a little bit. If anyone's doing a career change or doing a new career, just a quick version of my journey here. From 16, I was in restaurants and farms for like 9 years in New England. I did join the military. I did satellite communications in the Army. Afterwards, I worked on cruise ships. I did defense contracting. I decided I wanted to stop working with machines and work with people. So I studied education, and eventually I studied rehabilitation counseling, which is career advising for individuals with disabilities. My goal is to work with disabled vets and help them with their careers after the military. I found this role as a military career advisor on the at SNHU, and I've been here now for about 6 years. So the reason that makes sense, why I wanted to share that, is because some of you may be able to relate. So looking from the beginning forward, that whole pathway doesn't really make a lot of sense. But if I look backwards, each of those roles and things built upon each other on my journey, and maybe that's resonating with some of y'all. I know most of the career advisors here have similar stories, and so we're able to connect with any of you at any phase of your career path. All right, so that's why I wanted to share all that. So anyway, next, one thing that I know y'all have been talking about is career exploration in science, and especially resume work. So I wanted to talk about that more right now. So there's a way to research career exploration. A lot of people look at job titles first, and then they're looking, oh, where is that? I don't care what company, and it doesn't matter what industry. But I want to reverse that, and I did steal this from a great career coach online. Her name's Madeline Mann. She has a channel called Self Made Millennial, but she does the backwards career exploration. So if you switch it, it goes industry, organization or company, and then role or job. So the industry in this case, science, specifically environmental science. I think most of y'all are environmental science majors, so it's all about the environment, environmental conservation, supporting the environment. That's the industry. There's a lot of organizations that work in that industry that are serving as employers that have many employees. Today, obviously, our special guest is the EPA, so we'll focus on that. And but there's a ton of roles within the EPA. You all know it's a national organization, thousands and thousands of people. Um, so I wanted to show you more about that, and we'll get into that in a second. First of all, let's talk about resumes. So I will share my screen for a second here. I have a resume example, but in general, I know y'all have been discussing resumes, what to put and why. So the main things are formatting. It's got to be simple, neat, easy to read. You want a bullet style format, not paragraphs. You want to emphasize your accomplishments, not just a list of job duties, but what set you apart in your job. What made you awesome at your job? How did you go above and beyond job description? What accomplishments did you have? You know, it's not what you did, but how well you did it. If you can think of it that way when you're writing a resume, it's a good like mental trick, not just what you did, but how well you did it and why it mattered to the company. What are the results? Did you save them money, save them time? Did you increase efficiency? Did you build better relationships with clients or coworkers or leadership? Those are the things you want to emphasize. Um, your education. Come on, don't just list that you have a degree. Let's talk about what you learned in this program. We have some deans here, I know, who work hard on building this program to make it relatable to industry needs. What did you learn in school? Why does it matter to the job you applied for? Um, what are some skills, technologies, certifications you have that are relevant to the jobs you're going for? Your volunteer work. If you don't have professional experience in environmental science, what volunteer work have you done in nonprofit organizations or supporting other organizations that do environmental type work or geoscience type work? How is that relevant to the type of jobs you're applying for or the company you're looking at? Then we go to professional experience. If you have directly relevant work in other organizations, put it all, all of it. Brag about it. And we'll help you refine it. The career advisors, don't worry about it. Put everything you did. We'll help you tighten it up and stuff like that. But no one's going to know unless you tell them, basically. So if you don't have relevant experience, we'll focus on your transferable skills from other jobs you've had, previous work you've done. So make sure to call the career team. Like I said, we'll put the contact info and we'll provide that one-on-one coaching to help you individually with each of your situations. So, essentially, here's an example of the arrangement. Let me just put this up. And there it is. So this is just an example. It's very generic. This is something I send out. So first name, last name, contact info. This is your professional profile section. See how it's only bold your name, your degree, and your job titles, and your volunteer work. If your volunteer work is more relevant than your professional experience, meaning more relevant to the type of work you're going for, or more recent, or something like that, put it above your professional experience. But here's the degree name and skills and education. So, all right, so just a look at what it should look like. This is a simple Word document that's not a template. And so I just wanted to share that. It's aligned right in reverse chronological order. And you can see the bullet. We're going to start with strong action words, accomplishment, focus, bullet points, just like I said. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing now just because I got more to share. So what else I was saying was, you all have strengths. You all have professional skills and experience in some form or another. We meet with a lot of employer partners, and some of the things that are transferable skills. One of them that I met with, we were hosting an event, and the program manager for military spouses for Amazon Web Services. We were in a big networking thing like this, and she was like, "I hire problem solvers." So that was like something that stood out to me. I was like, okay. I mean, each thing is there's work to do. Even the EPA has problems to solve. So, emphasize your strengths, your abilities to work with others to solve problems. Customer service, whether it's clients or customers or whoever, you always got to work with people who are coming to your organization for some good or service. And then teamwork. How did you work with others, and what was the strengths in that? Of course, like I said, I'll just review quickly your education and degree. How does that already matches the needs of the employer. So we're talking again about using your strengths. You have experience and skills. You have the right education. If you're in school currently, now you're eligible for internships to gain experience. We'll talk about that in a second. If you recently graduated, a lot of companies, even the EPA has recent graduate programs. I'll show that in a second. You have the SNHU career team. So Alyssa has introduced us to this employer. We have many employer partners, but you also have a whole team of career advisors to help you out. And then ultimately also networking. coming to events like this, talking to other people in your personal or professional network, anything like that. So we're here to work with you along the way during this journey of career exploration. So don't ever feel like you got to figure it out on your own. And you got a lot of support here, but also a lot of strengths that we can help you identify. All right. So the last section that I'd like to talk about is proper employer research, otherwise known as thinking like a career advisor. So let me just share my screen again, and then we're going to get into the EPA's website. So let me close that, and then I'm going to hit share, and there. So I started here on purpose with Google, because this is where we start a lot. And I'm just going to walk through some of the stuff here. EPA. You can click on the main site right here. EPA is hiring. Explore the careers page. It goes right to the careers page. If I go back to, oftentimes if you look this up, there's going to be a careers page here. A lot of people go straight to the job boards, and I understand why. You're looking for jobs, you want to see what you apply for. But remember what I said before. People look for jobs, then don't matter about the employer. And I want you to think more about industry than organization than role. So in this example, it's the environmental science, and then it's the Environmental Protection Agency. This is their careers page. This section here is more about thinking like a career advisor. So the main thing to look at is the EPA's mission. We're going to look at more stuff, but here's what they do. This is important to know because if you're connecting with recruiters or you're networking with people at the EPA for some reason, one of the big questions is going to be, what makes you want to work here? And you're going to be like, oh, I found this job. No, it's more like, I see your mission and I want to support that. I believe in it. Those values align with mine. This is what I went to school for, and that's what I want to do for a living. So that's a better answer than because y'all got jobs available. All right. So I wanted to also point out this EPA career possibilities. Remember, we talked about career changing. These are all the different roles that they have at the EPA. Over 15,000 individuals from diverse backgrounds. So if any of you have any previous experience in any of this type of stuff, they need IT, they need human resources, they need lab people, law people, attorneys, administrative support specialists. They need everyone. So if you're thinking about a career change, sometimes using all of your previous experience to find a similar role, but with a different organization, one that aligns with their mission, aligns with your values and what you went to school for, that's one of the best ways to get into a new organization and then maybe transfer internally. All right. So the last thing I wanted to point out was this little section here, ways to join the EPA team. So there's the Peace Corps and Vista volunteers. So that's a whole thing. If you did that, join an AmeriCorps. They also and this is again is the importance of going to the careers page instead of just the job board. There's legal if any of you have interest in law or plan to go to law school, or maybe you're prior lawyers, they need people. So there's legal careers. There's a whole page on internships and fellowships for law students. You're finding this on the careers page more easily than on the job board. Look at this, the internships page. So this might be most applicable to most of you who are involved. Are internships paid? Possibly. But the real value is gaining professional work experience, making connections within an organization like the EPA, and having a professional reference for the next job you're going to apply for, whether it's internally here or somewhere else. There's lots of different ways to do it, like the pathways for recent grads, there's fellowships, there's all these other internships. So all this is right there for you. And here's a whole YouTube thing. I already clicked it. It's 11 minutes. We're not going to watch it, but check that out, to learn more about this. Moving on here a little bit, there's research fellowships for grads and PhD candidates. There's stuff for veterans. Of course, I'm going to click on this. If you just scroll down right here, there's an EPA Veterans Employment Program contact info. Along with all this other information, there's veterans preference, this and that, and the other. But also look at this. They have Operation Warfighter program. They're partnered with the VA. If anyone's involved with the VOC rehab program with the VA, they have stuff for that. You can find out more by emailing them. Again, where are we finding all this information? On the careers page. Last but not least, I studied rehabilitation counseling, supporting individuals with disabilities. Here is their equal opportunity page. The EPA is committed to diversity, and that includes individuals with disabilities. Of course, there's laws around it, but they have whole programs supporting a diverse workforce here. They have different groups that they're specialized in supporting, and here's their emphasis groups. So a lot of different organizations there. And again, you can reach out to them. The reason I'm pointing this stuff out is when you are researching an employer, you want to research everything about it. You can, all this can be done on your own time from your own computer, whenever you get a chance. But then when you make a connection with a real recruiter or someone at an organization, I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. Now you have something to talk about. Now you have like, oh, great. So what's got you interested in the EPA? Well, now you have, the diversity programs, internships, this and that, the other. All this can be found on this page. And if you can introduce yourself as not only an environmental science student, but someone with a passion for supporting the environment, someone who's researched the organization, someone who has reviewed the mission and the values of the organization and different pathways to get in, and now you want to discuss those. Well, how much more of a great first impression are you making with that recruiter or someone at the EPA than anything else? So they're going to immediately be like, wow, this person's definitely dedicated to this, definitely serious, and inquisitive, curious, smart. I definitely want to know more. I want to hear about why you're here, what you studied, and why you're here. But also, I'm going to remember that and recommend you. And I'm like, oh, you need to talk with this person in your area. There's regional offices. I didn't get into that, but anyway. So now that we've begun researching this employer and thinking more like a career advisor, let's hear more details about the Environmental Protection Agency and career paths there. And please allow me to pass the baton over to an outstanding outreach coordinator with the EPA, Latasha Rhodes Thomas. Go Army.
Go Army Whore. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, again, for the opportunity to be here and address you all. As Alex alluded to, I am at prior service. I retired after 22 years of service with the Army in 2017, and I worked for 4 years as an Army civilian supporting the IT workforce and workforce development on that side. But here I am with the Environmental Protection Agency, and it is by far one of the best organizations that I've had the privilege to work for. Aside from the mission of protecting human health and the environment, no other job in the United States of these here America is going to make you more proud to say that it's the workforce that you support and what you do for a living. I feel very proud daily to say, I work for the EPA. Alex kind of went over a lot of the things that I wanted to highlight, but because I find them so special, I'm going to tell it to you again, I hope that you remember them. So, the EPA's mission, as stated before, is to protect human health and the environment. And we have 15,000 employees across the United States that help us do that. And while many people think you have to work in the Washington, D.C. area, that's not true. Our largest office is in Washington, D.C., but we have 10 regional offices that support the entire United States, including Hawaii, Guam, Alaska, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. So go ahead and give me a clap and emoji reaction if you are planning on applying and working for the EPA. If that is a goal, go ahead and clap for me one time. Another comment, nobody? Okay, there we go. Another common misconception about the EPA is that we only hire scientists. And while we do hire our fair share of scientists, we do hire other positions, as were highlighted earlier. We have criminal investigators, which are law enforcement entities designed to support the EPA's mission, and they have a unique retirement program just for them. We hire a significant amount of attorneys. We need human resource specialists to manage the employee life cycle, from recruiting and hiring and onboarding to training, benefits, and retirements. IT support, because IT is necessary for any successful organization. Management of program opportunities, public affairs, finance and budget, and then environmental protection specialists who help develop plans to prevent, control, or fix environmental problems such as land and water pollution. And work-life balance in the EPA is extremely important. And we've learned that a stress-free employee makes for a very happy and productive workforce. And the pandemic was a guiding force towards understanding how satisfied the workforce could be from home without the stresses of commuting and reducing our carbon footprints and traffic, thus helping the environment. And the EPA offers many flexibilities, including expanded telework, which is currently at 80% per pay period, and some remote work may be available. We have flexible work schedules. So if 9 to 5 just isn't your cup of tea, like it is not mine, you can maybe schedule or design a schedule that fits your lifestyle. We have some of the greatest perks to working with the federal government, including the EPA, are competitive salaries, benefits, including generous leave policies and healthcare benefits, retirement benefits. Yes, we still have retirements, life insurance, employee assistance program, child and dependent care programs, public service loan forgiveness are just to name a few. So the benefits for joining the EPA are far expansive, more expensive than I can cover in the time here. As stated before, we have unique opportunities to hire student trainees via paid internships. Our internships are paid, both summer and traditional internships, as well as opportunities for recent graduates. And an applicant typically qualifies as a recent graduate within 2 years of their latest graduation. So in some cases, you can be a graduate student working on your master's and still qualify for recent graduates because you earned your bachelor's degree within the last 2 years. And so if that is you, you're going to want to make sure that you're looking at all the opportunities, both for current students and recent graduates. And then some of the positions that we advertise for will allow for current graduates to apply as they anticipate graduation up to 9 months out from that application closing date. There's some non-competitive hiring authorities for veterans and personnel with disabilities, as well as AmeriCorps and Peace Corps returning volunteers. And so a lot of the questions I think will be most satisfied if we go to a small, I call it small, we're going to see a small USA Jobs tutorial. So if you allow me to transition to USA Jobs, give me a thumbs up when you can see my slide or see the USA Jobs.
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So I'm going to turn off my camera right now because I want you to be able to follow my mouse by see me. So I know you'll miss me, but I'll be back. So the very first step in applying for federal jobs, including EPA jobs, is to have a USA Jobs profile. And you're going to register first by going to usajobs.gov. And you're going to click in the center of to create a profile in the center of the page. Now, the benefits of creating a USA Jobs profile is that you can save jobs and automate job searches and manage everything you need to complete your application, including your resumes and any required documents. Now, you're going to want to tell us about yourself, tell us who you are. You know, the federal government has unique hiring paths to help us hire individuals that represent our diverse society. And you're going to click on each of these to determine if any of these hiring paths represent you. and you may qualify for multiple hiring paths. Multiple hiring paths. So be sure to select all that apply. You could be a student and a recent graduate and also a veteran. Most people are open to the public, so everybody should have that. But you also may be a Native American or a person with an individual with disabilities. So as you create your profile, make sure you select every hiring path that is applicable to you and your individual situation. When you're creating your USA Jobs profile, you're going to want to make sure that your information is accurate, including your email. And your email address is vitally important, as the majority of communication is conducted via the email address that you've got listed. And you wouldn't want to use an email address tied to a system you may not have access to down the line. For instance, don't use your college email account or don't use your current employee's email address. And make sure you check that email address regularly, as most communication comes with strict time limits to reply. And of course, your basic data is annotated in the system as well. So the more complete your profile is, the easier it is to submit individual job applications without having to duplicate core information each time. So as you're anticipating graduation, now's the time you're going to really want to go in there and make sure you have a really solid USA Jobs profile. Now, you can upload resumes into your USA Job accounts, and there really is no preferred format. It can be a Word, PDF, or any other type that you desire. It doesn't matter to us. Or you can build a resume right inside of the system, and you can create and store up to 5 different resumes. And as you build your resumes, you're going to want to make sure they are searchable so that agencies can find you. Now, if you ask me, I would suggest that you build your resume using the USA Jobs format, because it's going to make sure that you include all of the required information that hiring managers and HR professionals are going to need to see. As you continue with your profile, you can upload your transcripts or applicable DD-214s and anything that's going to make applying for individual jobs easier and faster down the line. Now, from the USA Jobs homepage, you can search for keywords such as IT or environmental specialist, or you can search by vacancy locations, or you can search by specific agencies. And because we want you to apply to the EPA, you're going to put in EPA, and then you're going to scroll down to the Environmental Protection Agency. Now, that's going to produce an awful lot of information that's going to be kind of hard to digest. So this is going to have today, there are 116 jobs available at the Environmental Protection Agency. But you can also tailor by your hiring paths. And of course, because we are talking to students and recent graduates, we'll search for those. But you can also search by grades. So let's say you don't want to look, or you've already looked to see what student positions or recent graduate positions. Now you just want to see what's open to the public. Well, you may not qualify or be the best candidate for everything that's open to the public. And your grades are kind of where you're going to want to, tailor your response. So most government positions fall within the general schedule or GS classification system. And then the GS system, pay is based on 3 factors: the grade, step, and location. And grades run from 1 through 15, with 15 receiving the highest pay. Your grade is based on your education, experience, and position. Now, typically, a GS 3 through 5 jobs are intern type positions where education can be used as qualifications. And GS 6 through 9 are GS 6 through 9 are entry level positions requiring minimal work experience or education. The GS 10 and 12 position or grades are mid-career, and we'll look for a little bit more detailed work experience and some education to make you qualify. And the GS 13 through 15, well, these are team leader positions where you'll need to show demonstrated experience and expertise to qualify. And typically, education cannot be a substitute for experience at these levels. So we're going to want to tailor it down. And today, there are 25 jobs open to students and recent graduates. And so we're going to scroll down and we're going to find something that we want to examine. So when you click on the job announcement, and the job announcement is also referred to as a vacancy, and it really is just the notice that the job is available. This particular job is a life science, environmental engineer, or physical science position. This job is open until January 25th, and that means that at 11:59 on January 25th, the applications will cease and no one else can submit an application, and HR managers will not review anything else for this position. This is the salary range for this position. The pay scale is a GS7 through GS9. There are many vacancies and they span these 4 plus one more location. If you click on that, it'll show you what the other location for this job is. It also gives you a little bit more information and it'll tell you the full potential information. So while this job is starting at a GS9 through 7, the full potential, promotion potential is a GS12. And that's an indicator that it's a career ladder position. So if you start at the GS7 for this particular job and you do well and you have a good annual appraisal, you can get promoted non-competitively to GS9 within a year and then on up to GS11 within a year. If you start at the GS9 level for this position, and you do well again and you have good performance appraisals, you can get non-competitively promoted up to the GS11 and then to the full potential of a GS12. So that's what that means when you see the pay scale here and the full performance level here. Now, there's some important things I'd like you to consider when you find a job in USA Jobs that you're interested in. The very first thing that you're going to want to check is this job is open to section first. So this job is going to open to recent graduates. Remember we showed those hiring paths earlier? A hiring manager can decide that they want to make this job open to veterans only, or they want to make it open to personnel that are already in the federal government. So if this job is open to a hiring path that you aren't applicable or that is not applicable to you, then you can stop right there. You can apply for this position. There's nothing worse than completing a full application only to realize that you weren't eligible for this job. So this section of this job portion of a job notification tells who is eligible to apply for this position. The second part of the job announcement that you're going to want to look for is the education and qualification section. You'll scroll down and you'll come to the qualifications, but we're going to scroll right past that and go back to it eventually, but we need to look at the education first. To be qualified for this position, you need to have a degree or combination of education and experience as described below for the position. So not only is this job open to recent graduates, the recent graduate must have a degree in one of these specialized fields. So if you have a degree in one of these specialized fields with the identified curricula in your transcripts, then you know you can continue. If you don't have a degree in one of these specialized fields or your transcripts don't include all of the information that they're asking for, you can stop right there because you're not qualified for this position. You may be eligible, but not qualified. But you have to be both in order to apply. So after you've determined that you're eligible and you're qualified because of your education, you're going to go up to the qualifications section. And this is where it's really important. To qualify for the GS7 level, you'll need to have at least 1 year of full-time experience equivalent to the GS5 level, defined as. And everything that comes after defined as in any job announcement really needs to be articulated and highlighted in your resume. If I was a teacher, I'd be stumping on the floor, spinning up and down, turning around. Defined as. Am I saying plagiarize? Absolutely not. But you're going to want to use language as close as possible to the language that's described here. So you want to make sure that you have this, and it can be voluntary or paid experience. It can be if you took lab courses in class and you did a lab that did these things for 3 months every year. Well, guess what? You now have the 1 year of experience based off of the curricula that you have in your collegiate experience. If you wanted to apply at the GS7 level for this position, again, anything after defined as needs to be well articulated in your resume. Now, it doesn't have to be in your most current position or volunteer experience. It just needs to be articulated. An HR specialist is going to go through your resume and really read through each one of them. And we're going to piecemeal it. If you say you did 6 months of this function with this job, and then later on in your resume, you did it 6 months somewhere else, then that HR representative can give you the time that you need to be qualified for that position. The announcement is also going to include a host of other information that you're going to want to make sure is highlighted in your resume as well. So now, before I move on, there may not be an education requirement. Not all positions within the EPA have education requirements. And if there aren't any, then you only have to make sure that you have the qualifications and the eligibility. Now, once you make sure that you are eligible and that you are qualified, you're going to hit apply for the position and you submit your application. Now I'm going to transition out of USA Jobs because I think I hit on all the important things. And we're going to talk just one little bit more about your resume before we go to the Q&A. So we talked a little bit about what needs to be included in your resume. You need to speak to language as identified in the announcement. Now, private sector resumes are typically 1 to 2 pages long, while federal resumes, however, are unlimited. And consider tailoring or developing a resume tailored to the job that you are applying for. In your resume, use the language as close as possible to the language in the duties and qualifications required section of your job announcement. And don't forget to check your grammar, punctuation, and to do a spell check. And you want to make sure to make your resume searchable in USA Job, either when you create it or at any time. When you make your resume searchable, your profile information and all your resume information will be visible to recruiters searching the USA Jobs data bank looking for skills that you may possess. There are a few things that you will not want to put on your resume. Don't include any classified or government sensitive information. Don't include your social security number. Please don't include any photos of yourself. Don't include any personal information such as your age, gender, or religious affiliations. Don't include any encrypted or digitally signed information, and try to limit any military jargon. Sorry, I should have came back on camera. So with that, I think we'll go to a question and answer. I couldn't see in the chat, so.
No, Latasha, you had it exactly right. I was just going to say we've got about 15 minutes left in our webinar presentation this evening. So, and I know we've had some really great questions pop up into the chat box. I want to make sure we have enough time to get through those student questions, and of course, continue to answer any more if students have them. So I believe, Tyra, you said you've been completing or kind of keeping a short list of those questions that have been popping up in the chat. So why don't you go ahead and kick us off? And this is again open to both Alex and Latasha. We'll just kind of popcorn style it. So feel free to answer the questions as we go along. So Tyra, I will kick it back over to you. And I'm also going to share my screen back again so that you can see our guest speaker's contact information.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alyssa. Thank you so much, Alex and Latasha, for the great information. Even myself, I'm learning some fun tips, which is really helpful. So I've broken down the questions into kind of two buckets, and then I have some specific questions for each Latasha and Alex from the chat. And feel free to keep those questions coming in the chat. And then if we have some time, we'll go and allow folks to come off mute and ask them. So the first few questions are around new career. So if they are kind of new to this field, and what do you do if you don't have any experience at all? And what are some of the skill sets that you should be focusing on developing for these types of roles, and things to be able to highlight in a resume?
I can talk about that. I talk about that all day. So, how to gain experience. The easiest way is volunteer work. There's nonprofit organizations all over the place, and if you can get involved um, uh, in those in your local area, that's a great way to just begin to put any kind of relevant professional experience on your resume. Another thing to do is like what kind of volunteer work to go for. Well, keep uh, start researching different organizations like the EPA, different roles that they have, and look at the job descriptions and look at the requirements for experience, and just make notes of those. Like, how can I get more experience in lab work? How can I get more experience in um, field experience and taking samples and for study and stuff like that? What is it that they're looking for? Then try to find ways that you can get that experience through volunteer work. Um, Another one, and it also like volunteer work is it's you don't need a degree, you don't need experience, so that's helpful, and it's up to you. So there's no like sometimes there's a time commitment, but sometimes it's like 1 or 2 days a month. But you do that for 6 months and you're making connections, you're putting that on your resume. Now you have 6 months experience. So that's one way. Another one is internships, and we kind of talked about those already. Um, Again, interns are not expected to have professional experience. That's the whole point. It's a way to gain professional experience. So those are the two ways I'd suggest. And I have a lot of tricks for those, and just reach out anytime. We can talk about those in your area. It's one trick is the Google Maps tricks, just looking where you live on the Google Maps and looking for green, dark green. And I didn't get to that here because I didn't want to hog all the time, but any kind of environmental conservation area in your area or wildlife management area, state parks, all of them need volunteers. So anyway, just call or email anytime. We'll help you out.
Great. Thank you so much, Alex. And then the other question, and Matthew just put another question in the chat that goes along with it, is around efficiencies that exist in balancing. We have very busy students who are doing a lot of different things and managing lots of key essential priorities as well as going to school. So what recommendations do you all have for kind of getting some of that volunteer experience and helping to kind of manage time and making the job search most efficient use of their time?
I can answer
Well,
that one too, but go ahead. Okay. Um, Really, it's a, I think a conversation and a self-reflection on passion and dedication. So if you truly want to pursue a career path in something, you'll go for it no matter how long it takes. So if you don't have time now because you're in school, well, what can you do right after you graduate? What can you commit to? And then we can help you kind of map out what that journey looks like. That's like I said, we do a lot of individualized career planning. So that's all I was going to say.
and I was just going to say, if you all are interested in federal government or working with the EPA, you really are in the best advantage using your current student or recent hire or current graduates hiring paths. So that really means that, those opportunities, they're not really expecting a lot of experience. They're looking for your undergraduate degree or your master's coursework. So really taking the time right now to try to look to see, what type of positions you may be interested in pursuing for the EPA, and making sure that you have the coursework that that position is asking for is really going to help you leverage the best use of your time if you are looking for federal. What that means is when you're applying for current student and recent graduates, that's the only pool of applicants that you're applying against. You're not applying against the general public, which receives hundreds of thousands of applications for each vacancy. So really do leverage the hiring path that's at your door, being students and potential recent graduates.
Great. Thank you so much, both of you. And yeah, I think, making sure to leverage what you're doing in your classes and use that time while you're working on your projects to get the experience and being able to market that experience effectively, so that not duplicating efforts, but really kind of giving yourself credit for the things that you're already doing in the classroom. The next set of questions are around career changers. So we had some questions about how to really kind of market those skills and experiences, from whether it's military experience or prior job experience, or whether you're working in a different industry and you'd like to break into a science industry. How do you kind of market those transferable skills? How do you talk to some of your experiences in a way that's tailored for the job posting that you're interested in and applying for?
That's a really good question. And a lot of times we don't think about the work that we've done in previous positions and how it translates to the job we want to have. So really, if you have some equitable experience towards the job that you're applying for, you're really going to highlight that and expound that out. In the other positions, you're just going to highlight, the goodness about, who you are and what you did in that workspace. Did you lead a team? Did you increase efficiencies? Did you save money? Are you a team player? Did you do X, Y, and Z? And even if, you did a specific skill set in one job, just transfer it a little bit so that, it crosses over to what you're going to do in your new job. So, a lot of times that could be, budgetary or, researching. As a student, people don't write down that they're researchers enough. That's all you're doing a lot. And so you're going to really want to highlight that you are an excellent research student. Alex, you want to?
Great point. I just typed that in. Yes. Another thing to do, like, so you're looking at the minimum requirements, and maybe you meet some or don't meet a lot of them. You still want to apply. It's important to match the minimum requirements as much as possible, but going back to those transferable skills, if you look in the job description of the duties and responsibilities or what you'll be doing, if you've done anything similar in your previous work, that's the things to focus on. So again, it depends on what it says in the job description and your own professional experience. But call the SNHU career team, work with a career advisor one-on-one. We can talk to you about your individual work experience, your professional experience, and what to draw from, what's most relevant to the type of work you're going to do generally, the roles you're going for, and also in specifics to specifically related to the job description that you're looking at. So there's no like magic formula that here's all you got to do and now it applies to all jobs. It's really an individualized approach between candidates, job seekers, and the job descriptions and the organization's needs. So it's kind of a triad of things. So it's complicated, but it's all possible. And a lot of employers they want people to join. So they try to create these programs like recent graduate programs, student programs to get people in, especially people who are passionate and want to be supporting their mission. So, we'll help you find a way.
Great. Thank you so much, both of you. Really excellent questions coming through the chat, and I'm just trying to keep up with. This is wonderful. Okay, so the next two questions are specific to one for Latasha. Can you apply for a position that you plan on moving to even though you don't live there yet? So if you could talk to us a little bit about remote positions and then also the transition if somebody was moving geographic locations.
That's a really good question. So the short answer is yes, you can apply to a position in a place where you don't live in. The long, expensive answer is that relocation is not often offered by the EPA. So it's very rare that you're going to see a job that will pay for you to move to where that job is, if it requires you to be a in-office worker. Now, remote, there are a few remote positions out right now, and they're, kind of typically what you think a remote position would be. Some of our IT positions are remote, some of our HR specialists and teammates are remote. Now, our scientists and lab and personnel that work in the lab are never going to be remote. So don't even think about it. It's not going to be an option. But there may be a time where some telework is given. Now, again, some of our more professional skills, telework is at 80% per pay period. So that's for me, I go in every Wednesday, but that just means 2 days of the pay period that you would have to go into the office. So there are opportunities for telework. It's very prevalent. Telework is high, but again, depending on the role that you do for the EPA. Did I answer your question?
That was great, Latasha. And to go along with that, the next question, sorry, I'm kind of reading through some of these at the same time here. There was a question about, does the EPA have on the spot hiring? And what kind of the hiring process looks like a little bit more in terms of maybe interview and kind of transitioning into a role.
So for on-the-spot hiring, so the EPA and as well as all other federal agencies fall under the Office of Personnel Management. And the Office of Personnel Management determines which position has direct hiring authorities available to them. So currently we leverage the direct hiring, meaning we can offer on-the-spot hiring, typically for our STEM and IT positions. There are a few um, series categories that we can use the direct hiring authority. Some of our engineers may have a direct hire authority available to it as well. They're not rare. You just don't see them often. They're more frequent than you'll see a remote position, I'll be honest. But in the job announcement, it'll dictate whether or not it has direct hiring authority. Now, I believe you asked about the hiring process. So from the time a job announcement closes, at the end of that, the HR hiring person is going to go through every application that was submitted. We actually read every one of them to make sure that we can make you eligible and that we can see that you've demonstrated your qualifications as determined by that job announcement. Once they've combed through it and they found everybody that is qualified, then they're going to do a deeper scrub and find the best qualified. And what they're looking for sometimes in the best qualified are some of those things that are outside of what is in the duty description. Things that if you've taken the time to make your resume shine by showing, hey, I'm a leader. I'm also a good team member. I not only am I a toxicologist, but I'm a notary, for instance, not saying, or I have other skills that the person that is looking to hire may be able to use. I can do Python, I can do X, Y, and Z. You're going to want to include anything that's going to make you stand out above and beyond your the other applicants, because then you're going to go on the best qualified list and they're going to create a certificate of eligibility, otherwise known as a cert. And that cert is then given to the hiring manager or the person that was looking for the employee to hire. They're going to scroll through this list and they're going to pick out probably 5 people to interview. They're going to interview them, usually with a panel, make a selection, create a job offer, and then the person is then brought on board to come and work for the EPA. But because the federal government has such stringent requirements that we must maintain, the process is lengthy. There is no timeline that I could give you. It's usually no less than 2 months, but around about 3, it's probably what you're going to look at from the time that the job announcement closes to when you could realistically be brought on board.
Great. Thank you so much. We are getting close to time. What I'm going to do is pass it back to Alyssa. And as she had mentioned in the beginning, these folks are very graciously sharing their contact information. So if you have some more specific questions, we will be able to share that right there on the screen as well as in the chat. And we'll close out. I'll pass it back over to you, Alyssa. Thank you all so much for your great questions and great insight, Alex and Latasha.
Awesome. Yes, I echo that completely. Thank you both so much for your time this evening and sharing all the wonderful insight and resources and all of your wonderful advice. And I know we didn't get to everyone's questions. I do apologize for that. If anything, as Alex has said, if it's specific to your kind of career journey and your career goals, please don't hesitate to reach out to this new career advising team. That is a great way to kind of get started and kind of asking and getting jump start in some of those questions you guys have all put into the chat box. I will be following up with not only the link to the recording for this webinar series, but also all the contact information as well as the resources we've shared this evening to all of you in attendance via email. So just be on the lookout for that in the next day or two. So without further ado, again, just wanted to reiterate some of the great feedback and advice quickly that we've, again, had the opportunity to share today. So, of course, knowing how to make an effective environmental science or geoscience resume is going to significantly improve your chances of being selected for an interview. And of course, it's going to showcase your specific qualifications. So creating a resume is an extremely valuable career tool, and you can learn how to do that through research and practice, and of course, reaching out for help. So if you're not sure how to get started or update maybe your current resume, again, this new career team can help you. We also encourage students to utilize resume templates like LiveCareer, resume.com. These sites have numerous resume examples, writing tips, even resume builders that can help you craft your specific resume and get that attention of those specific employers. And what's even great about some of these template sites is you can actually search by major-based resumes. So if you're looking for more of an environmental science resume or a geoscience resume, even by level of experience, entry level, mid-level, expert level, some of these sites out there have some really great information to kind of get you started. And with that, Sue, I'll turn it over to you for what some next steps students can take.
Thank you, Alyssa, and thank you to both of our speakers. And I learned a ton tonight, and I have quite a background and career already completed, so I learned a lot. Thank you so much. So we've covered a lot today. So let's highlight some of the action steps moving forward. Think about where you are right now in your career journey, in your educational journey, no matter where you are, no matter where you're starting from. You can start taking proactive steps to get closer to your personal career goals. And based on the information that's been shared today, here are some of the next steps to consider, right? Doesn't matter where you are in your degree, you can connect with our SNU career advising team to receive personalized information in reviewing or crafting your resume. It's all inclusive here in your SNU experience. There's a large team of career advisors located nationwide. They're available Monday through Friday by phone or email, and they can that you can contact for help. And they sound wonderful if they're all like you are, Alex. Wonderful. You should consider connecting and following up with our guest speakers, either from today or from our previous webinars. Most of us have also provided LinkedIn. It's time to build your network. As I said last time, my connections are your connections. I personally think that is the only way to build a career, is through connecting with people that are looking for things the same as you. So please feel free to reach out and connect. I'm always just a LinkedIn chat away. And you can start to research and review online environmental science or geoscience resume templates, just like Alyssa had said. Those look like great suggestions just to start, as well as the one that Alex gave you just a little while ago. Begin crafting or editing your resume based on the amazing feedback. that you heard today. You don't have to do it all at once. You can just pick one or two to get started. But this is a lifelong journey that you're creating based on your education. And, the last thing I was thinking is go out to create your profile at epa.gov. That just seems to be something very obvious to start to do, and get yourself into the system so you can start to figure out what you're missing to reach your career goals. So, and thank you tonight for being here. Thank you for being here for all three of our webinar series. We are extremely grateful that you're here. We're always here to help you with your educational journey, or if it's your career journey. That is why Tyra and I are in the field of academics and in STEM. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And have a very good evening.
Thank you, Sue. Appreciate all of that. You've basically recapped it wonderfully, so don't have too much to say. But again, thank you all so much for taking the time to be here. A special shout out and thanks to our two guest speakers, Latasha and Alex. You did a fabulous job. And this officially concludes our three-part career webinar series. So again, thank you to everyone who's joined us all along the way. And for those who have kind of hopped in and joined us, I really appreciate your time and hope that you all walked away with some really great, valuable, and insightful information. Again, as I said, all of our attendees will be receiving a follow-up email in just a few days with a link to the specific recording. And again, we'll have links to all of the resources we talked about today and our guest speakers' contact information. But as Sue wonderfully said, please do not hesitate to reach out to the SNHU Career Advising team. Do not hesitate to reach out to any of us who are here. Again, you are not alone as you navigate your individual career journey. So again, thank you all so much for your time this evening. You can all simply log off and leave the meeting. And again, thank you all so much for your time, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the evening. Take care, everybody.